video, I'm going to talk about visualizations. So I want to go over what they are, how to do them, and what they can be used for. And hopefully I'll answer most of your questions along the way. So what are visualizations and why are they helpful? So you can think of visualizations kind of like productive daydreaming. They're like guided meditations where you're taken on a journey in your mind. Now you can either make them up yourself, like intuitively as you go along, or you can find lots of them on YouTube that you can listen to. The trick is just finding one with a voice that you like and there's not any ad interruptions. So visualizations, they're basically tools that are a great way to help you access your unconscious mind, and so that you can receive messages from your higher self. And when you're in this kind of relaxed and daydreaming state, it's a lot easier to bypass the ego because it's used to daydreaming. So this is a space where it feels comfortable, it's not being threatened. So you can kind of bypass your ego, and then you can receive thoughts, symbols, and messages from your unconscious mind that you'll then need to unpack. Now, there's many different types of visualizations. They can be tailor-made for you and an issue you're having, or they can be more open and suggestive. So one that you might have already heard about or done before is the body scan. This one is commonly done in yoga, and that's where you start at the top of the head and work your way down, or start at the feet and work your way up. And in this visualization, you're bringing awareness to each and every part of your body and sort of checking it for tension or stress, and then bringing in relaxation awareness to those spaces. And this is a really good visualization just to help bring awareness to your body and what's going on, and to help you relax. Now, another similar one that's quite lovely is grounding visualizations. And they're going to also help you relax and bring your energy back down and center yourself. So if you're ever feeling kind of all over the place or untethered, grounding visualizations are a really great exercise to help you regain your focus. Now, one type of visualization that I really enjoy are ones that are designed to take you to a special place or on this sort of inner journey, so that you can ask someone for some advice or ask a question. And, so you're guided along, and, a lot of times you are taken to a spot where you get to meet someone to ask these questions. And so you could meet anyone really, your higher self, your ancestors, spirit guides, a particular archetype that you might be struggling with. It's always pretty interesting in these types of visualization where your mind takes you and who you end up meeting. Another visualization that's quite helpful is ones that are used to allow you to explore intense emotions like anger. So I've got one called Honor Your Anger, and in this visualization, you're guided to take a look at anger at an arm's length and sort of walk all around it and understand it a little bit better. Some of these really intense emotions, they can be quite difficult to deal with, in the thick of it. So to approach it through a visualization, again, your ego is not going to feel as threatened. So it's at an arm's length, and you can glean a little bit more information, or that your unconscious has more space to communicate to you what it's trying to get your attention about. Now, visualizations can also be designed to help you understand blockages and to reach your goals. A lot of times we don't know why we keep hitting resistance. Maybe we really want something, but we keep self-sabotaging. Visualizations are a great way to help go into that space where then the unconscious mind can show you a symbol or a metaphor or something that is showing you some previous conditioning that is why you're getting in your own way. Now, as you can see, visualizations are incredibly versatile, and they can be tailor-made to help you with all sorts of issues and questions. They can take you anywhere in space and time, and they're really only limited by your imagination. Now, imagination is something that adults don't really often value, So this might take a lot of practice for you to get comfortable with this form of creativity. So how do you prepare for a visualization? So when doing visualizations, you want to be relaxed, but not so relaxed that you're going to fall asleep. So sitting up is usually recommended, but lying down also works. I would just recommend that if you're going to do them lying down, it's best if you're laying on a mat or somewhere that's not your bed, because when you're in your bed, that's a pretty good cue to your body and your mind to fall asleep. So if you're going to lie down, just don't lie down in your bed. You're going to want to be in a quiet space where you're not going to be disturbed. The position that you're going to be in, it needs to be comfortable. So something that you can hold for 10 to 20 minutes or however long the visualization is for. You don't need to worry about, being cross-legged and sitting on the floor. It's just a comfortable position where you have a straight spine is great. If you are sort of getting in your head about being in the correct position, just know that that's resistance showing up, kind of preventing you from doing the work or taking change. So try to let go of any of that kind of attachment and just know your position is great. But the headspace, to get into the right headspace for visualization, there's lots of different things you can do. It's really just about personal preference. So I like to wrap myself in a blanket for two reasons. First of all, it helps keep me warm, but also it helps me focus so that I know when I'm sitting there with the blanket wrapped around me that, it's time for a visualization and we're not thinking about anything else. Most visualizations will ask you to close your eyes. So some people like to wear an eye pillow just so that, if you flutter your eyes a bit, no light comes in to distract you. Other people like to have their eyes slightly open with a soft gaze. Really, that's all up to you. Visualizations can be done inside in a special room or, have a special pillow or corner in your house where you always do them. They can be done outside in nature. Maybe you're always listening to the visualization. Maybe you're just playing background music and making it up in your mind. Typically, that's more an advanced technique. Sometimes it's nice just to be guided along. Other times you might find you need more time in certain scenarios, or sometimes they're too slow for you. So the more you do them, the more experience you get, and then you can kind of play around with that. You could light a candle or burn some incense to help set the mood. Really, it's just whatever is comfortable for you. I will just say whatever sort of ritual you do decide, make sure it's something easy that you're actually going to do. If it's too elaborate, a lot of times people can use that as resistance, or, oh, I don't have the right candle to burn. Maybe I'll not do the visualization today or something. So, start simple, and then you can always add elements or play around and see what works for you. But try not to get too caught up in all of that. Another place where people also tend to get caught up is, am I doing it right? What am I supposed to be seeing? Those kind of questions. And these are really tricky questions to answer because we're all supposed to have a different experience. We're all individuals on different paths. So this is just another skill that you're going to need to practice and figure out what is right for you. So for me, visualizations, they're kind of like a dream. So I see stories in my mind, but they can be a bit out of focus. The scale can be off. I don't necessarily know what's going on, but for some reason, it all just makes sense and I understand it. It's definitely not a crisp, clean movie. Some people, they don't see anything at all, but words or ideas will pop into their head. So whatever happens for you, just let it come. You just don't want to force the visualization or overthinking it. Really, the aim is to not be thinking and to let your unconscious sort of communicate with you. And if nothing is coming up, sit with that. There's still information you can glean from the nothingness. Maybe you're not grounded, or there's an emotion that's blocking you that you need to deal with first. Maybe your unconscious mind is trying to draw attention to another issue that you're trying to avoid. So if nothing is there, that doesn't mean that like nothing's happening or you're doing it wrong. Sit with the nothingness and see what comes up for you. I know this can be quite frustrating when you just want to get on with it, but having that presence and awareness of mind is really important when doing these. Now, I should mention the unconscious mind really likes to communicate in metaphors and symbols. So nothing is going to be black or white, yes or no. Instead, you're usually going to be shown symbols or have characters show up. So things aren't meant to be taken literally, but you're going to need to work with the symbols and archetypes and kind of tease them apart. And that's all part of the integration process, is trying to understand what the unconscious mind is drawing your attention to, and what you need to let go of or pick up. So for example, in one visualization, I opened up a treasure chest, and then these octopus arms came out and they started pulling metal plates off of my chest. And so we can think of that as, the metal plates. That's a pretty good metaphor for armor. Your chest, that's the area where your heart is. So this octopus or the unconscious mind created this creature, very smart, intelligent creature that was pulling the armor off of my chest. It's showing me that it's time to take it off. When we think about armor, a lot of times we put it on to keep ourselves safe, and sometimes we do need our armors in certain situations, but it's not to be worn all the time. So, it keeps you safe, but it also keeps everyone else at an arm's length. So that's kind of the message that I gleaned from that visualization. So to recap, visualizations are like daydreams where you're guided to relax the mind so that your unconscious mind can communicate with your conscious mind. Now, everyone's going to have a different experience because we all have different paths to walk. So you can't really compare yourself to others. Just trust that you're doing it right. Now, this is a skill you're going to need to practice. So don't give up if it feels uncomfortable at first, or if you're not having the experience that you think you should be having. Just know that whatever is coming up is right for you. Now, it's also going to be really important that you journal about what's coming up, and this is going to help with the integration process. You're going to need to think about and work with the messages and symbols that came up for you. Visualizations are not a pill that cures you. Nothing really is. They're just shining a light on an area that you need to work on. So you're still going to have to do all the work and integrate the messages. And sometimes they're quite confusing and you're not going to understand the message right away. So it's really great to write it down, and then you can come back to it, the next day, the next week, and it might take a while for you to actually figure out what your unconscious mind was trying to tell you. Sometimes I think my unconscious mind thinks I'm a lot smarter than I am. And I get these really weird, complicated visualizations or these images. But then weeks or maybe months later, it kind of clicks and you're like, oh, that's what it was saying. Like, it's so obvious now, but in the time, it's not. And so, yeah, I hope this answered some of your questions or made you feel more comfortable with visualizations. If you really like them or you haven't done one before, please check out some of my other videos. I have quite a few visualizations up here already. And if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe so you can see when I post more videos.